2023 is almost over, and that has everyone looking forward toward the holidays and the new year. Fortunately, there's plenty of gifts in store for us Americans, as there's over 20 new roller coasters expected to open in the United States in 2024. Although this year may not feature too many record breakers, there's still a deep and diverse roster of roller coasters expected to open in the States next year. This year is especially good for family coasters that kids will be able to ride, as many of the larger chains are starting to cater to the family audience. That said, there's still a nice selection of intense rides for thrill seekers coming to the country as well. There's also a very solid lineup of roller coasters coming internationally, with rides like Hyperia and Voltron opening up in Europe, which both look fantastic. This year, I chose to highlight American coasters because most of my audience is American based, and I wanted to feature rides that most of my viewers might be interested in going out and riding next year. However, if you'd like to see a video featuring coasters coming overseas, let me know in the comments below. While you do that, I'd like to ask you guys to give this video a like, as that would greatly help us out against the YouTube algorithm. Make sure to hit that subscribe button for more coaster content coming soon. With these rankings, remember to keep in mind that no one has ridden any of these coasters, and we are just guessing about how good they will be, so take this list with a grain of salt. That said, let's talk about a few honorable mentions. The first honorable mention will go to Snoopy's Soapbox Racers coming to Kings Island. This will be one of two Vekoma family boomerangs coming to the US next year, and these look to be very solid family coasters. The theming looks good, and the ride should be great for people of all ages. Heading out to the desert in Glendale, Arizona, we have Hot Wheels Bone Chicker, the ultimate ride, coming to the new Mattel Adventure Park. We don't know a whole lot about this coaster, but the layout looks to be pretty creative, utilizing the building that the park is based in to shape the different elements on the ride. We don't know what the full layout will look like, but it wouldn't shock me if this ride is in the top 10 for a lot of people by the end of 2024. There's also a few coasters I chose to disqualify as well. Thunderbolt coming to PNE Playland would probably have made this list had I counted it, but it is in Canada, and it's the largest coaster coming to the country next year, and looks to be a solid Intamin launch coaster that is being revamped by Zamperla. I also excluded the big Codaland coasters with Palindrome and Circuit Breaker, as this park is likely not going to open in 2024. This park has had to deal with a lot of red tape and permit issues, and they are currently hoping for a 2025 opening, which is a bit of a shame because both these rides would have made the list. The last, and probably most controversial exclusion from this list, is All-American Triple Loop coming to Indiana Beach. Although we did see this coaster test, it has been on site since 2021, so I still don't have a lot of faith that this ride will open given its history, especially given all the adjustments and moving parts that this ride has had. Even if this ride does open, we really don't know what the ride experience will be like given all the changes they've had to make, so it's really hard to judge where it would actually rank up on this list. I do hope this ride opens, but there's just too much uncertainty surrounding this ride for me to include it. With all those out of the way, let's get into our number 10 spot. To kick off our list, we have Silver Dollar City's $30 million replacement for Fire in the Hole, with the creatively named Fire in the Hole. I'm not a fan of naming the ride the exact same name as the ride closing, but that's about where the complaints for me end. The new Fire in the Hole looks to be one of the best themed coasters in America outside of a Disney or Universal park. RMC is building this coaster, so I wouldn't be shocked if there's a few thrilling surprises, even though this is just a family-powered coaster. The main focus for this ride will be the theming and the storytelling, as the ride itself isn't anything impressive, but that $30 million figure likely means we'll be seeing something pretty awesome. At the number 9 spot, we have the second of the two family boomerangs coming to America next year with Good Gravy. I opted to put this coaster on the list over its counterpart at Kings Island because the theme and story of this ride looks to be pretty well done. The theme is definitely a bit out there to say the least, but in a world where we see the same IPs being used over and over and over again, it should be refreshing to see something original. I don't expect the ride itself to be anything groundbreaking, but I'm sure the experience will be smooth and enjoyable for everyone. Also, it's good to see Vekoma back doing business in the US. Making our way down to Orlando, we have Penguin Trek taking the number 8 slot. Penguin Trek is a ride that I don't really know what to think about. A part of me wishes that the park would have gone for the simple route and gotten a low-to-the-ground, snappy, Intamin straddle coaster, but with Hagrid's just up the road, I can see why they went with something else. B&M hasn't done very many family coasters, and the ones they have done look interesting. However, this ride does have over 3,000 feet of track, which is a lot for a family coaster, and I'm interested to see if there's any noticeable forces on this coaster. Also, shout out to the park for adding a show scene at the beginning of the ride, as it should hopefully make the ride feel more immersive. From one B&M in Florida to another, we make our way down I-4 for Phoenix Rising. I'm not sure if anyone had a family B&M invert on their 2024 bingo card, but that's what Busch Gardens Tampa is getting next year. Layout wise, this is pretty much identical to the Dragonflyer version of the Vekoma suspended family model, but there are a couple of sensory differences that should make this ride more unique. For one, this coaster will have onboard audio, which is always a plus, along with swinging seats. Like some of the coasters before it on this list, I don't necessarily think that this coaster will be the most thrilling ride ever, but I do expect a very solid all-around experience that should add to the already deep collection of coasters at Busch Gardens Tampa. The first of 3 Six Flags coasters on this list is the Intamin Ultra Surf coming to Six Flags Over Georgia. This ride is yet to have a name, as it will be named by the fans of the park. This ride is a first of its kind model from Intamin, and it looks pretty solid. It's nothing too crazy, but the stats are pretty good. It has a maximum height of 144 feet and a top speed of 60 miles per hour. There's also an airtime hill in the middle of the layout that you'll experience forwards, backwards, and while spinning too. There will also be a splash zone feature that probably won't be too wet for riders, but a cool visual nonetheless. This should be an all-around solid coaster that will fill in the launch coaster gap quite nicely at the park. The second Six Flags coaster on this list is Bobcat coming to Six Flags Great Escape. This is the first coaster the park has gotten in 19 years and the first ever custom ground up coaster to come to the park. So yeah, this is long overdue. This coaster is a Gravity Group family coaster, very similar to Timber at Walibi Alps in France, and this should pack in a lot of airtime. I'm a major fan of these Gravity Group family coasters, as I really like Kentucky Flyer, and Wooden Warrior is right around my top 50, so I'm really excited to be getting one in my home state. Taking a trip about 4 hours south of the Great Escape, we have another park long overdue for a coaster, with Iron Menace coming to Dorney Park. Everyone has got a different opinion on dive coasters, but the reality is they're fun, high capacity, reliable crowd pleasers that are sure to drive up attendance numbers. Iron Menace is a really no nonsense ride, as it will have just over 2,000 feet of track, but still will have 4 inversions in the layout. As with most inverting B&M coasters, the Zero G Roll looks to be the highlight of the ride, along with that beyond vertical drop. This ride also looks to have a unique theme that should be well done given Cedar Fair's track record over the past few years. Although not everyone's top choice, Iron Menace should give Dorney Park a great new addition to attract some of the spotlight in the crowded Northeast. Kicking off our top 3, we have an under the radar coaster with Hot Wheels Twin Mill Racers coming to the new Mattel Adventure Park in Glendale, Arizona. This will be the second ever Chance Rides Hyper GTX, coming in 10 years after the first one in Lightning Run, which is a fantastic ride. From what we know, this ride will be a lot different from Lightning Run, as it will be launched and feature 4 inversions, 2 things that Lightning Run does not have. My best guess for this ride, given how Lightning Run rode, is that it will be an intense and whippy attraction that will focus on positive G-forces. I hope they do incorporate some airtime moments into the layout, as Lightning Run has some great airtime, but I think this will still be a good ride regardless. That might be the sleeper hit of 2024. Heading back to the Northeast, we have Flash Vertical Velocity taking the silver medal. New Vekoma has finally arrived in the United States, and it's just in time for Great Adventure's 50th anniversary. This will be a Super Boomerang model, the second in the world to ever open, and it certainly looks like a treat. Gone are the days of the old janky Cobra rolls and vertical loops that are now replaced by a Zero G roll and a stall loop element. This coaster will also be launched as well, giving the park a multi-launch coaster. Vekoma also advertises 10 airtime moments on the ride as well, so hopefully there's some good moments of airtime mixed in. This looks like an all-around really nice addition for Great Adventure that should make their 50th anniversary memorable. And at the number 1 spot, we have by far and away the most anticipated coaster coming to the United States next year, Top Thrill 2. This is the long-awaited reimagining of Top Thrill Dragster, which closed permanently in 2021. The park called in Zamperla to retrofit the ride with a new swing launch and a 420-foot tall vertical spike. No matter how this coaster rides, it is sure to be one of the greatest looking rides of all time. Being launched up that spike backwards at 100 miles per hour sounds insane, and it seems like the train will travel even faster over the original top hat than ever before, making that ending sequence that much better. The openness of the new Lightning trains from Zamperla will make you feel that much more exposed when traveling up the 420-foot tall towers. It's great to see that the world's first Stratocoaster will live on in a new form, hopefully better than ever. Those are, in my opinion, the top 10 roller coasters opening up in the United States in 2024. Although we aren't getting a ton of thrill coasters this year, we will be getting a handful of quality coasters that may surprise a lot of people. So I encourage you to try to get out and ride as many of these as you can. Be sure to let me know which coasters you think look like the best ones opening up in 2024, as it's always fun to hear your guys' opinions on lists like these. Also, be sure to let me know if you'd like to see an international version of this video as well. As I mentioned earlier, there are some great rides coming overseas next year, and if there's enough interest in that, it would be fun to go over some of those as well. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that like button, as that would greatly help the channel out, and subscribe for more roller coaster and theme park content coming very soon. With all that being said, I'd like to thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.